Welcome to the Heart of a Viking. These art lessons are taught by Mrs. Minto from the Cape Henlopen School District in Delaware. I hope you have fun, create imaginative works of art, and make sure you share them with someone because, after all, the visual arts are meant to be seen. Hello, Cape artists, and welcome back to the Heart of a Viking. In our episode today, we are traveling to the cold, frigid north of Alaska. And while we're in Alaska, we're going to be learning about a native tribal group of people that have lived in Alaska for thousands of years, the Tlingit Indians. Now, these Tlingit artists that live in these tribes have some very unique styles of artwork. So we're going to learn about their totem poles and their Tlingit collage animals, and that's going to be the inspiration for our project today. Animals in the Tlingit style. So grab your scissors and your creativity and maybe a little bit of extra patience, and possibly have an art assistant on hand in case you need it. This project is a little bit tricky, but as I would always say in the art room, I would never ask you to do something I didn't know you could do. So I know you can do it. It just might take a little bit of patience and maybe a little help from an art assistant, but I know you can do it. And the end result, it will be beautiful. So I can't wait to see what you come up with, and let's learn a little bit about these Tlingit Indians and their artwork. The Tlingit Indians are the original people of the Pacific Northwest coast. They live in southeastern Alaska and British Columbia and the Yukon in Canada. In this map, you can see the location of the traditional Tlingit lands. Almost all the Tlingit people speak English today, but some Tlingits, especially the elders, also speak their native Tlingit language. Tlingit is a complicated language with many sounds that don't exist in English. Totem poles are arguably the most iconic type of native artwork in the Pacific Northwest. Using knives traditionally made out of shell, stone, or bone, the totems are usually carved from yellow or red cedar. Each animal on the pole represents a family crest or tells a specific story from the clan. The distinctive art of the Tlingit is reflective of their cultures, ancestry, and collective histories. Like many styles of the Northwest native cultures, creatures from nature and mythology are displayed in various states of realism. Most forms are defined by features such as the eyes, joints, fins, and feathers being fragmented with bold black lines and filled in with red and blue hues. Common animal subjects in all tribal art forms include ravens, eagles, killer whales, and salmon. These are often depicted as mythological entities. I wonder which animal will inspire you today. So as we've learned, the salmon, the whale, the eagle, and the raven are often depicted in the Tlingit styles of artwork. So here are 4 of my drawings, just quick sketches of what these animals could look like. If you want to, you can choose one of these to draw. You can pause the video and you can use one of these as your inspiration, or you can draw one on your own. You can even pick a different animal if you would like to. All right, let's see which one I choose, and then we'll figure out what we need to get the job done today. Alrighty, so here are the supplies that we need to get our project started today. So the first thing you're going to need is whichever animal that you are choosing. And I'm going to show you in just a minute how we'll do a practice sketch just to get the idea out of our minds and onto our paper. We'll need a pencil for that. Later in the project, we'll need a Sharpie. We'll need a glue stick today, a pair of scissors, a white sheet of paper as our background, and then some colorful papers as our main colors of our project. I chose to stick with the reds and the blues and the blacks because that's what's traditionally found in the Tlingit art. Alright, so we'll start by drawing a practice drawing, and my practice drawing is just going to be a quick sketch. It's just a way for me to work out the kinks because I always have a little bit of a tricky time starting a new drawing. So this first one is just going to be with the animal that I am selecting, and I'm just practicing just that one animal. So it looks like I'm going to try out the raven. Alright, so now I'm going to put my drawing aside and I'm going to get out my colorful papers and I'm going to leave them all stacked together here, and I'm going to cut my papers in half. I really only need a half of sheet of each color, so I just cut right up the middle there. You could fold your papers if you want it to be perfectly straight. I wasn't so careful about that. Alright, so here's all my colors all stacked together. I'm going to start with the lightest color and I'm going to redraw one last time my animal as big as I possibly can. I want to make this animal so that the wings or the fins or whatever part of the animal that you're drawing are touching all the different sides. So my wings here are going to be touching the top, the tail feather will touch the bottom edge of my paper, and those wings will stretch to the right and left sides too. I apologize for my drawing being kind of light here. I tend to draw lightly just out of habit because it's easier to erase if I needed to erase it, but I really should have darkened it for you, so I apologize for that. But I'm just redrawing the raven. Okay, so now this part's a little bit tricky. I'm going to cut through however many pieces of paper I have. You might have 4, you might have 5. I have 5 here on mine. So cutting through this many papers is a little bit tricky. So one of the things I do is my left hand that's holding the papers, he has to hold it a little bit tighter than he normally does. And then my eyes are constantly watching to make sure that the papers aren't wiggling apart. That's the hardest part here. Sometimes that top sheet wants to wiggle away from all the other ones. If this is very hard for you, hey, I'm sure you have a great art assistant somewhere in your house that would love to help you out with this cutting step because you are cutting through many pieces of paper here. So just go slow, take your time, and try to cut through all 5 or 4 papers if you can. Okay, so now we're going to get out our white background paper and we're going to begin with the part that's probably the most painful. Well, not actually painful, but you're going to be cutting apart your animal shape. So as you see right now, I'm cutting off a little portion of the wing, but here's what's really important in this part. As soon as you cut off a piece, you need to regather all the little pieces that you have and put this back together almost like it's a puzzle. So I cut off that one piece, I stacked the pieces back up, and I put them all together almost like it's a puzzle. But I don't want to be building this on my white paper. I want to be building it somewhere on the table around me. The bigger the portions that you cut, the more easily this will seem. The smaller the pieces you cut, the more difficult. So I would start with big pieces because you can always go back and cut them into smaller pieces. But I'm going to make this into a puzzle now, a raven puzzle. Okay, so you can see that I just cut out a little ovally shape out of the head. All of my other cuts had been straight. The ovally shapes are much more difficult to do and to deal with. So if you don't want to do that, that's perfectly fine. They are a little bit trickier to put back together and to continue on with this project. So I would say stick with straight cuts if you are doing this kind of art for the first time. Okay, so now we're going to get our white paper back out and we're going to work on one little puzzle piece at a time. I'm going to start at the bottom with his tail. Now I should have all of my colors here. I can see all 5 of my colors. I'm going to select one and place it on my white paper, stack everybody else back up, and I'm going to rebuild my raven off to the side again. Now I want to select a different color to sit next to this. There we go. And then put this little stack of other 4 colors over with my little blue one that's sitting over there. There we go. And I'm going to keep following these steps, picking out one color from each stack. And I want to keep switching it. I want this to be all different colors. Now I'm not gluing these down, as you can see, so I have to be careful that I don't bump them. Okay, so there it is. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start gluing down these pieces. Now you have another decision to make. Do you want to push the pieces together so that one color fits perfectly in with the other? Or do you want to leave little white gaps in between like I'm doing to make it look like there's a little white outline around each of your shapes? Completely up to you. You decide how you want yours to look. I made mine with the little white gaps, but you can definitely push your shapes very close together and make it look like all one piece. Okay, so did you notice that you have a whole nother raven? Actually, you have 4 more ravens, depending on how many sheets of paper you had. So you can always make another picture if you want to. So I'm actually making this one on the back of my first raven, but you could make yours on a separate sheet of paper, and you could actually make several pieces and give them as gifts to people. You could give 4 different people 4 different ravens, or you could just make one and then recycle all of these extra pieces. Completely up to you. So stick around though, because I want to show you what I'm going to do with this second raven. So now I'm going to use my Sharpie and I'm going to just draw some line details within the bold colors. So any kind of simple line patterns or simple geometric shapes, and you can use any kind of marker. I'm using a Sharpie, but you could use a washable marker too. That would work just as well. And you can probably even draw in the black spaces if you have some. I'm going to only draw into my colored spaces, but you can probably draw in your black spaces as well. So simple line patterns in the bold colors. Let's see how this one comes out. We have at Cape Artists, we have our Tlingit animal designs using bold colors and simple line patterns and shapes. So I hope you had a great time with this. I think it's lovely that we can create more than one piece of artwork out of this. We can make several pieces of artwork. I think it's very interesting how we can choose to add these simple line patterns, or we can just leave it as the bright bold colors. So I hope you had a great time doing this, and I hope you felt creative, and I'll see you back here next time at The Heart of a Viking. HOB artists, don't forget to hop on over to Artsonia to upload a photograph of your piece of artwork to your art portfolio. I can't wait to see it.